I clapped as if I'm ready. I got like an idea for an intro, but I really don't. I was really banking on thinking of a great song to annoy you guys with, but I can't think of one.
Check it out now, Soulknife brother.
Well, no, we've got to say Unearthed ARTcana, which is the real issue. Is it just me, or does every single show on this channel have a terrible name?
No, it's good.
Because Challenge Raters isn't actually a super good name either.
Yeah, but it's the reason we're doing this.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But
So it has to be good.
But it's not. It doesn't really roll off the tongue pleasantly. Challenge Raters.
It's not too bad.
It's like saying any word. It's like saying possum.
All right, it's true. I mean, I never thought about it until today, and I certainly didn't help by calling something faux mint. And Unearthed ARTcana was the only. I think Unearthed ARTcana is definitely works okay written down, but my god, is it hard to say. It does not sound good out loud. Looks fine written down.
To be fair, Unearthed ARTcana doesn't sound that great.
Only if you say it too much, but yes, we do say it quite a lot.
I end up saying Unearthed ARTcana instead of Unearthed ARTcana now when I'm talking about Unearthed ARTcana.
Yes, I'm sure it's charming. Looks in the camera.
They could probably be more cohesive opening though, considering we now do them fairly well. We seem to be done quite a lot of them.
We do them as regularly as the wizards do them themselves, which is pretty regularly these days. Damn those wizards.
Damn those wizards and their scrolls
and their coasts
and those beach wizards. That is true. Do the wizards of the coast? I assume they wear swimming trunks and no shirt, but still a wizard hat and have a surfboard.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that ticks the box. Randomly generated intro pretty nicely. I think we can move on from the intro now. That's it done. Tick.
I'm Neil.
Oh yeah, I'm Theo.
And I'm Sam.
But that's not the order we usually do things in, but that's fine too. We also don't usually remember to say who we are in these videos.
On a second, like a monitor or something, just a checklist of the things we actually have to do and then tick them off.
Well, number one would be actually get an intro for Unearthed ARTcana.
Next tick box is done. Yeah, we have
addressed the problem.
We have addressed the problem.
We've stated the problem.
Nice. Okay. We're gonna continue our journey looking at the new Unearthed ARTcana, which is Psionic Options Revisited. We've already talked about the Psi Night, in which we went more in depth into the new mechanic. We're probably not going to talk again about the unique Psi mechanic because it's in all the classes and it's pretty similar each time. So if you don't know, there's a link in the description that'll have it. It's the Psionic Talent Die is the new thing. Or you can watch that video where we talk about it more in depth. Basically, it's cool and we like it.
That is the footnotes version.
And along those lines, everyone I've talked to about it has also seemed to think it's wow, that's a cool way of doing it.
It's
something
I've seen no
feels
discourse. Good. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so we're going to talk about the Soulknife now, which is the new rogue. And I'm going to draw it. That's the other thing that happens in these videos. But hopefully it's already on the screen. I'm going to mention straight ahead, because this is something that I didn't really address it in the fighter, and I think it's something that kind of is... It'll come up again when we do Sorcerer, because they address it in the Sorcerer, but I don't know why it's not in all of it. Basically, they talk about, in this Unearthed ARTcana, all the different kind of ways that psionic stuff kind of happens in D&D. But for the rogue and for the fighter, they just sort of say, you could be a Gith, or the other guy. And yeah, I guess so. And then for the Sorcerer, and we'll go more in depth when we do the Sorcerer, they have a table of all the reasons that you might have a psionic origin as a Sorcerer, because this is the source of your power. But I don't know why you wouldn't have that for all of them, other than it's because you don't start with it at level 1, which seems a bit weird.
That's true, actually. Yeah, I think it might just be convention that sorcerers usually have this table.
Yeah,
particularly
exactly,
in Xanathars and things.
Yeah. With the Rogue and Fighter, technically you're not taking this class until 3rd level. Though again, I think everyone chooses their subclass when they're making it. Even if you start at first, you probably know roughly where you're going to go.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially if you're going to go for one of the psionic things. Unless your DM surprises you, maybe you could be playing a first or 2nd level guy, and then you have an encounter with something spooky, like a gibbering mouth or whatever, and that could be cool. Anyway. So I am drawing something that's... essentially, I was thinking along the lines of a warlock in terms of origin, if not actually having a warlock patron technically. And I guess we can revisit it when it's more clear what I've drawn and why I've drawn it, because it is, from what you might have seen already, kind of weird.
It's a little bit different.
A little bit different.
I'm into it.
So yeah, the Soulknife, or most assassins strike with physical weapons. Basically, they're like inherent thing that they do, and this is the same as their original with a few differences, is they make psychic weapons. They make a magic psychic knife. Now, I'm pretty sure there's a minor change, which I appreciate greatly. With the original one, there was this thing where basically you had to make these glowing knives that you held with your hands. And I think that line isn't here anymore. You have to use your hands to make them and, like, use them.
It specifies having a free hand, doesn't it? But it doesn't...
Yeah. But it doesn't say, like, you're holding them and hitting people with them. Which was something that, again, I think...
that was a big thing, I remember that. Yeah.
It was something that because I didn't actually... I quite liked the original of it, but it was something that, like, I would have to, like, sort of home rule in my head the way it looked, for the most part.
You are completely correct. Reading through Psychic Blades again, all it specifies is that you need a free hand to make the attack with the blade, and if you want to do 2-weapon fighting, your other hand is free to create it as well. That's actually a really good change. Yeah, that's much better.
It's really cool. It means you can do the whole holding the knives if you want, but it just frees it up, and it doesn't actually make it broken. Not that it would have been before, especially anyway. So that's really cool. You can still obviously use regular weapons, but I think a lot of the abilities kind of rely on having the psychic knife in some way. So maybe you'd have one magic weapon that is like an item that you found, and then always have an offhand psychic dagger.
Should we talk about their psionic talents?
Yes, we should, because again, the psionic die is something everyone gets, but what you can do with the die is different for each class. My initial thoughts when looking at this is, when we're talking about the fighter had quite a lot of uses for it, and they were all pretty good, and you would have a reason to use one of them every turn, basically. But with this one, for
you definitely don't.
The rogue, they really are much more situational, and you only have 2 of them. So basically, the way the Sonic die works, incredibly briefly, is you roll an extra die, like a Bardic Inspiration, for example, and then depending on what you roll, you can go up and down, yada yada. It's a little in depth. But you get an additional die onto certain rolls, essentially. So the first thing you get is Psi Bolstered Knack. You can roll your Psionic die when you fail an ability check using a skill or tool that you're proficient in, and then you add that to that. So it's kind of doubling down on that whole thing where, like, bards have every skill a little bit, and then rogues have... Is expertise? In a few skills?
Yeah, they have a few expertise,
Yeah, so they're really special, so it's likely things like stealth or sleight of hand and thieves' tools, that sort of thing. So this is obviously good, because failing is bad, and you can roll this after you fail. It's not that after you make the roll before you know if you failed or not, so that's always handy. I feel like there's been less of that recently. I seem to... that was a thing I would have expected if this had come out maybe a year ago. I feel like the whole having to know if you failed or not before the roll hasn't come up quite as much as it does in, like, the base book and stuff. Maybe that's just my perception of things there.
I like that. It's almost like a luck field. Bolstering your ability.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. It's not super exciting, but it is helpful, and you will do that. I don't know how often you'll be doing that. And again, like, you get expertise, so the chances of you failing your ability checks and such are not super high. Obviously, being able to add to them if you do fail them is a good thing, but it's not going to happen a lot, like, statistically. I don't know.
Depends on what you're doing, I guess, but yeah, exactly. I get what you mean, though.
And it can be constant as well, like, because
that's the
way the side dice works. Your character's just, like, basically always guidanced.
Yeah, and potentially at high levels it can go up to like a D12, so that could really save a bad roll. Like, if you know, sometimes it's like there's no point in me rolling my Bardic Inspiration or Guidance or whatever, because
it's not gonna,
because it's not going to be enough. But with a D12, you could make an average roll into an amazing roll.
It's very cool to imagine that psychic person is just slightly better at things than most other people because of their psychic powers.
Yeah, and like they're passing themselves their tools with their telekinetic stuff and all this. It's fun.
Intuition.
And then the other thing they can do with their die is they can use Psychic Whispers. It's kind of like the Warlock, the great old one, Is that what it's called? The Great One?
The Great
Warlock?
Old One lets you
They have
communicate
telepathy.
via telepathy within 30 feet, I believe. Or is it 60?
Yeah. I think it's 30.
This one
is a mile.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
like you like choose targets and then you can communicate with them up to a mile. So it's for sneaking in and then using, mental.
Some mind walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
Obviously perfect for reconnaissance, that sort of thing. But a mile is pretty good. We were talking a while ago about the Wildermount class and how the fighter could get his ghost fighter to go out really far, but it was only for a minute. So like in actual distance, practically, in terms of like combat distance, it was really far. But in terms of like roleplay distance, as it were, it wasn't that much. But a mile is big.
It could encourage, I mean, for better or for worse, it could encourage parties to split.
Now that is a true point. Yeah.
Which, I mean, depending on where you fall on that, and what you want, like, that can either be good or bad.
I mean, like, I'm thinking solo play adventure wise, right?
Yeah.
Like, or like, when you're just like a DM and maybe one player doing something on their own.
Yeah.
This is so cool to be an NPC who's like a wizard who's watching the surroundings outside. Maybe scrying in and being like, "Be careful, Fisher. There's 2 targets in there." It's like it's just mental over their head. Constantly. It could be really fun.
Yeah, for sure.
And of course, not needing to have a common language means it could be useful not over a distance if you meet something or someone that doesn't speak a shared language of the party. Then you've got a way to maybe
that is very true.
Get out of a potentially violent conflict.
Depending how your DM does, that may or may not come up a lot. Sorry, guys.
Indeed.
I can only apologise. What did you roll for this? What is it? Or just use it?
You roll your die, and that decides how many people you can give it to.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's another good thing because obviously, like with the Warlock one, it's only between the Warlock and whoever they're talking to. So if you wanted to have like a conversation, it wouldn't really work.
Call.
Yeah, exactly. yeah, Zoom.
This is the thing. On this, it does say that the chosen creatures can speak telepathically with you, and you can with them. It doesn't say they can with each other.
I guess that is true.
Yeah.
Though, in the interest of like saving time, depending on the situation, your DM would probably let you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously talking is a free action, so you could just be like, I relay this.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's kind of refreshing about reading through that? I think I know where the rest of this class is going. Sure. Psychic blades and things like that. Sure. It's kind of refreshing, at least at this level, to not have something which is just already, and just do more damage.
Do more damage.
Yeah.
Because a rogue already has the chance at these low levels to be hurting badly on singular strikes. They already have sneak attack they're managing.
Yeah. So, I think they've definitely like kept that in mind when making this class, which is good.
Yeah, because it would be like what? Because this psychic blade is also a D6, the thing we were just talking about.
Yeah.
D6 possibility modifier, and then if you do
D4. D6, and then I spend my scything for another D6, and it'd be fun, but it might be a bit too.
I think it would be fun, but also, at least personally, I find more damage is the most boring way of having more fun with a class. Like it's not.
Depends on the
it's fun. It's true. That is true. That is personal.
I mean,
to me.
when you get a big number, it can.
Big numbers are fun.
I have an assassination rogue in my Sunday campaign whose goal is to try and get the juiciest crits.
That's fair enough. And I agree that like I'm glad it doesn't just have a straight up combat one. Although it does mean that like the way that the side die works, like if you lose it or like it gets lowered in combat, there's not really a way to get it going back up. Maybe that's very deliberate though.
Maybe.
These two things are an out of combat thing. And I guess one more use of the Psychic Whispers is like, I guess if the party is all captured and you want to have an open dialogue with all of them in a situation where you can't speak out loud, could be pretty good. Without using a spell slot or anything like that.
Or you're captured by the goblins and you start whispering to the goblin, pretending to be his god.
Yeah, always good. Oh, a Kuato would be great for that, obviously.
Oh, that'd be so good.
Just because of that lore. Right, so they only get 2 things. The fighter got 3, I believe, which were all combat things. Again, so a very deliberate, I think, approach.
Jump.
The jump deliberately increases your movement speed as well.
That's true, actually,
which is really combat.
That is true, yeah.
So I think it's a very deliberate, different approach to how you're meant to use it.
And you also, with the fighter, you didn't get anything else at 3. Whereas with this, you get the psychic blades, the
right,
manifest the weapons thing.
Yeah.
Which in real terms, because of their damage, is really more of a flavour thing.
Yeah.
Sure. But it's really cool.
Psychic damage is good damage.
Yeah, psychic damage is good damage. There's not many things that resist it. Not on a low level, for sure.
And it specifically says it doesn't leave a mark on the target.
Which is, again, very cool little...
I think we've got before, if you go somewhere... You can go somewhere unarmed, or seemingly unarmed, which is...
Very cool for an NPC assassin who's maybe killed someone.
A really good villain. And that was true of the original one, and I think it's still true for this one.
It does say they make perfect spies for any kingdom,
it's true.
Yeah, they'd be a good NPC class, definitely.
I assume, like, constructs are probably all immune to psychic damage, is that... Maybe, like, Modrons aren't, because they're kind of people who are... Anyway.
I can't believe how much we bring up Modrons.
It's a lot, isn't it? Now, so yeah, I think the only other thing about the Psychic Blades is that they are basically a D6 with the thrown property, because I don't think the short sword has thrown.
No, it
usually,
doesn't.
right? Yeah, so dagger does. So this is a better throwing weapon than what you might use as a rogue usually. So that's good.
And if you have it in your offhand, it's a D4 instead of a D6. So it's like having a blade and dagger, which is inherently much cooler than two light weapons.
In terms of appearance, for sure, that's for sure. I don't know how often like getting all your weapons and stuff taken off you is in D&D. Obviously, like it's a big thing in like plots in games and film and such. I don't know. I've not seen it happen a lot in D&D just because it doesn't
Players
feel...
never want to give them up.
Yeah, people will die before they give up their like items. I feel
every player is a dragon.
Yeah.
They covet their wealth.
Must hoard it.
And also, there's particularly if you have any adversarial feelings, you're just trying to disarm me.
Yeah, you're just trying to make us do the plot.
And often that's because the one time when the players did give up their weapons, the DM did try to kill them.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, Anyway, so you don't get your next thing until level 9, which is it's a bit of a jump, I guess. So level 9, you get Soul Blades. Homing strikes. When you make an attack and you miss with your Psychic Blades, this is not just any attack. You can add your Psionic die to the attack roll. So once again, it's another one where if you know you've missed, you can add it. So again, different to... I think all like the Bardic Inspirations say that you have to roll it before you know you missed and stuff like that. That might be me misremembering, but I swear that is a thing.
That's really good. I really like this.
Yeah, and again, this will automatically decrease the size of your psionic die, which is the way it works. And again, this is a thing where if you're doing this in combat, which you would be, there's not really a way that you could get it back up, because unless you make like athletics and dexterity checks to like avoid getting grappled and grapple people, which I guess could definitely be happening. But
I like homing strikes quite a bit because of, as a rogue, landing that one attack you get is very important.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, it is with your psychic blades as well.
Yeah,
so you can't make a crossbow.
Yeah, that would be... I don't think it would be especially overpowered or anything if you could, but it doesn't not make sense, because you are making the blades yourself with psychic power. So you don't get a lot of telepathy stuff like the fighter did. So this isn't. So you're the only thing that you're really psychically controlling is the blades that you create. So I think that it kind of
a lot of these are feeling like skill.
Sure, I get you. And the other thing you get is psychic teleportation. If your psionic talent die is available, you chuck your knife up to 60 feet, I suppose, because that is the range of it.
5 times the highest number of your psionic talent die, which can be a D12.
Yeah, so you throw it, not just the range of the throwing die. So yeah, you throw it the amount that you roll, and as you say, it could be a D12. So you could roll you could throw it up to 60 feet for a teleport. And is this as a
5 feet?
Is this as an action? Oh yeah, or you might just roll a 1. Yeah, that is the other thing. Is this an action or a bonus action or what?
Bonus action.
As a bonus action, okay.
Bonus action, yeah.
That's pretty good.
Well, think about a rogue. You have cunning action, so you have dash, a 30-foot movement as a bonus.
And disengage and stuff like that, yeah. So I guess in theory, like, if you didn't want to use your disengage because you wanted to dash, you could throw this to teleport to disengage without having to...
Or through a window.
Yeah. I think it's very cool. I think it's somewhat impractical just because it is random how far you go. There will definitely be times when it will be useful, just because getting any extra movement will be good.
Incredibly cinematic.
It's incredibly cinematic. It's also what I've been... the subject of what I'm drawing, which will maybe we'll go back to what I've drawn when it's like finished, and I'll explain what I've done.
You end up wanting to get up to some high ground, and then you roll a 1, and you just throw it up in the air. And it just kind of clatters off the wall and falls down in front of you.
I don't remember what what game it's from. Was it Dishonored? No, it wasn't.
I get very, very strong Dishonored like vibes, as it were, from this class, and I did from the original version as well. I think useful, but it's not something you're going to be doing every round because your bonus actions are good as rogue anyway, as you say. Yeah,
I don't think this is one you're going to just be doing willy-nilly. Unless you're a very show-offy kind of personal character. Because I know a lot of people who play D&D who use a lot of resources very quickly.
Yeah, just because they want to do their stuff.
Because they want to do their stuff. Like, I have a wizard in one of my groups who nearly every round will Misty Step instead of walking. Because they like the idea of their character teleporting around, wistfully moving around the battlefield.
There might be traps as well, you never know.
Yeah, they just like that idea, so that's just how they play, and it's great.
That's cool, I like that.
So I can see like a person who's, running around using their psychic blades, thinking it's so cool to throw it to teleport to.
Yeah. Oh, and another one for this as well. I'm just reading it again, just the end. Yeah, this one also will guarantee reduce the size of your die. Yeah. So I feel, again, like this is really like... It's kind of discouraging using them in combat because you can't get them back easily.
Well, short of just like playing the bagpipes over and over again out of combat with cyborgs knack or something.
Yeah. Well, and of course, with all of the silent die, they do all have the rejuvenation thing where you reset it once a day as a bonus. So you do have a guarantee where you're getting back once a day.
And it could be kind of cool, maybe, that your rogue, to try and focus his mind, has a profession he tries to do in short rests or something.
Sure, yeah.
He's whittling and he's
I really like that. I really like that. That's cool, actually. That's fun.
And it's just like, that's his form of meditation.
Yeah. And the grinding back, like calming, because the idea is like you're calming down and like regaining control of your psychic power stuff. That's fun. But yeah, I continue to like that this is, because as we say, Rogue has a lot of combat capability just from their base class. So not having to, again, this gives you that
it feels it. It feels like they do with their amount of sneak and hide
that is true.
Advantages
yeah, and also like evasion and stuff. They're doing all right.
They're doing all right. Nobody's complaining about base rogue's ability to get into combat.
and then do damage and then not die when they're there. They're fine. So I like that this, again, it gives you that little plus to hit, which is like nice, but it's not really crazy over much. Anyway, so level 13. Psionic Veil. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you can become. You basically cast invisibility, like the level 2.
Level 2, yeah.
Level 2 spell. For 10 minutes. Yeah, you're invisible. You can dismiss it, or it goes away when you
negatively affect the enemy.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, when you deal damage or make them make a saving throw. Yeah. The idea.
Same as invisibility.
But it's just a different length of time. I think invisibility. Shorter. Yeah, invisibility is an hour. This is 10 minutes.
This isn't concentration either.
That is true.
But you wouldn't be a spellcaster, really.
Yeah, and you're unlikely to be making concentration saves anyway. Obviously, like traps and stuff could do that, but anyway.
It means if you get attacked, you don't drop it though. So you can be running away and throw the knife to teleport.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. It kind of reminds me again of the fighter where he just, for the like 17th level thing, whatever it was, they just get a 5th level spell.
Yeah, telekinesis. Yeah, that's awesome.
So like this is similar to that. It's perhaps a little on the weak side, just because it is just essentially a slightly weaker version, or a slightly differently balanced version of invisibility, which is a good spell, but it's nothing like, it's nothing earthbreaking here.
And you can cast a few of them with your die by 13th level if you really need to.
Yeah. It's...
And then use your rejuvenation to reset it, and then use another bunch. You got plenty of resources for this.
Yeah.
Again, we haven't actually played them yet, so we don't know how quickly you feel like you burn through these.
Yeah.
Because it might feel like, oh my god, I never have enough.
Yeah.
If you're just using the ones that burn it, you have it 4 times a day.
Yeah, by this point, yeah. I think it's very appropriate for this class to have like an invisibility thing.
Yeah,
so that feels right. And I think maybe any other way of doing it would be like super heavy-handed. So I'm not angry about this. Maybe a little underwhelmed for like a 13th level thing.
Greater may have been nice, but Greater may have been too strong.
Maybe just have it be an hour.
Yeah.
Maybe just that. I don't know. Again, maybe it might not really be an issue. And again, like it's another thing that's encouraging you to rely on your main skills first and then use it in an emergency, as opposed to, because again, 10 minutes it's good, but it depending on how your DM runs things and such, that might not be appropriate for like doing out of combat turn order, non-turn order, like role play, sneaking around doing stuff kind of mish.
And as a rogue at 13th level, you have lots of different actions you can do.
Yeah.
Particularly as this one, you can run. You can go invisible, run, and then use a bonus action hide.
Yeah.
So you can be very, very stealthy to get out of a bad situation, which is always the rogue's problem once they sneak in and then get discovered.
Yeah.
So being able to run, teleport, hide as bonus. This class, I think, kind of solves the problem of the rogue not being able to get away and escape.
yeah. So that's true, and it's cool. And then the 17th level thing, the final thing, Rend Mind. You can sweep your psychic blades directly through a creature's mind. So when you do sneak attack damage with your psychic blade, so I guess when you get a crit or not crit advantage on them, that's how that works, right? Yeah.
Or an ally within 5 feet.
Oh, an ally within 5 feet. Thank you. Yes. You can force that target. So basically, that target makes a Wisdom saving throw that is to do with your dexterity modifier, which I think is interesting. I would have thought it'd be based on intelligence, but then when I read this, I was like, oh yeah, nothing in this class is to do with nothing uses an ability score. Yeah. None of it's tied to an ability score at all. So you don't have to have like...
You don't have to build into all. You can just go full dex.
Not build into it till 17th level, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you had to build into intelligence for the fighter to be like the best it could be.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, you really don't have to at all, which is interesting. Because I guess with the dexterity, maybe you could be... That's like your position. You're literally like putting the blades through
how
certain
well
parts
you put
of
the blade in their mind.
Yeah, like you're like targeting parts of the brain. That could be great. That could be a cool way.
Frontal lobe.
Until we, I guess, read Sorcerer, which I think might go more into this. This is the closest we've gotten so far to mind bullets.
Sure, yeah. And I think as well, like what it just made me think of immediately was thinking about. I think we talked about this at some point, but like the Renaissance times when people were like first cutting up the brain and looking into it, and how that was, and trying to figure out what bit did what and all this, and that was heretical and such. I think that's a very cool sort of time period and aesthetic for like a D&D thing, and I could really imagine that as like a rogue who's knows a bit about the workings of the brain.
Ooh.
But yeah, so they make the save, and if they fail, they are stunned
until the end of your next turn.
Which
pretty
is
good.
Pretty damn good.
And you get free use of this as well.
Yeah. It means that you stun them with the hit, so they don't get to act, and then you get to act while they're stunned. To I guess try and stun them again.
I mean, I don't see why not. Yeah, use it again. It decreases the size of your die, but this isn't like on. This could be on any size of creature, I guess, so long as it has a brain, I guess. But, or through a creature's mind, so, even if it doesn't have a physical form.
Yeah, it doesn't put any qualifiers on it, does it?
Yeah, no, any size, any old thing.
I mean, 17th level, it probably shouldn't.
No, exactly. This is your ultimate thing. Stunned is, like, the best condition, to be fair. Apart from, I guess, like, unconscious, but...
Apart from dead.
yeah, already dead. That's a good one. I like that one. But yeah, this is, I guess, replacing, if you remember the original Psychic Blade, had the Frighten ability. I'm not sure how it worked exactly, but they had like a Frighten thing.
Yeah.
And I think this is replacing that, I guess, because a lot of things are immune to Frightened as a condition. Like, I think all undead, if not a lot of them.
A lot of high-level things don't get
constructs, and then like dragons and stuff. And I liked that it had Frightened before, but perhaps it would have been too niche when there are a lot of things that are immune to it. So this is, and you could still, they could be stunned in fear. Like I wouldn't have any issue with describing it like that.
It is a high level for this ability, which is very similar to like the level 3 monk.
That is true.
Yeah,
but it's nice that this one is like the first really extra combat effect. Kind of thing. The other ones are all about. Yeah, I suppose the way to kind of look at this is most of this class is all about being reliable.
This plays like a rogue. This does not play different. I'd say that the fighter plays as different from a fighter as you can.
Yeah.
This is very,
totally.
very straightforward, which I think is deliberate, to be fair.
I think that's probably a problem that a lot of people fall into when they read the rogue and sneak attack and things.
Yeah.
Is that they kind of always assume they're assassins.
Sure.
I guess because
Sneak
one
attack.
of the two ones in the base book is assassin.
Yeah.
And sneak attack
is like their bread and butter for fighting. Yeah.
So, like, you read through assassination, it's like guaranteed crits, all this stuff. But then right next to it is thief, which is, like...
Thief, a classic D&D class.
Yeah.
Of course. On its own.
And this one, I feel, kind of merges those kind of two ideas, those two sides of the rogue. Like, it's being a good at doing skills and being kind of a skill monkey, I think is what some people would call it. Ability to kind of do a bit of everything. Yeah, which is something that it kind of lacks. Normally a wizard can cast comprehend languages and a million different things.
That's true, actually,
things. Whereas this is another solution to those kinds of things, is get your rogue to do it.
A lot of the comprehending languages spells, when you're like preparing them, it's like I'm sacrificing like having a different like useful combat spell to have this in here, and if I don't use it, I'm gonna feel like a dum-dum, or like I'm gonna use a spell slot to do. I feel like the psionic die is not as important a resource as a spell slot is, especially for wizards and whatnot. I feel this is pretty cool. I do like this class. I don't know if it's my favourite rogue. Probably is, to be honest. I like the swashbuckler, but that's more just because I like pirates.
This is definitely an Unearthed ARTcana and not the other one.
Not at all.
Definitely an Unearthed ARTcana.
I guess I'll explain what I've drawn, because I had an idea. So my thinking was explicitly based in the warlock great old one. That's where I started with this, because I was looking at the sorcerer stuff.
Immediately love it.
And then I was thinking I thought this would be an interesting one for multi-classing, because again, you only need dex for it. You don't need to have other stats. So I don't know, multi-class warlock, that could be cool.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, if there's a plot to this one, we got I think this is a Triton. I didn't colour his hair, but he's got bluish. Tritons are just blue men.
Yeah.
And he's presumably been raised in some horrible underwater cult to I guess a kraken or a great old one of some sort, and here is being encountered by some what's that monster, Scion of the Deep, something like that.
Oh yeah.
And he's got this orb eyeball thing that obviously he's being communicated to for something, and then he's when he basically, I wanted the idea of the the Hunger of Hadar spell, which is the black tentacle psychic stuff. I was why can't that be? Psychic energy doesn't have to just be shapes or mist. Why not have it be horrible tentacles from the far realm?
Hasn't got to be purple energy.
Doesn't have to be purple. It could be red tentacles instead.
Exactly.
I like it. It's very warpish.
Yeah. And I've been playing Bloodborne again recently.
So inspiration there.
That's the only other thing I need to say when looking at this. I was trying to make the hair look a bit like it was sort of underwater as he was teleporting.
I like it. I like it
underwater
a lot, actually.
Theme.
And this is a teleports behind you. Quite literally.
Yeah, it literally teleports behind. Nothing personnel. He's got a weird tentacle dagger thing. I was going to give him a real dagger, because I wanted to like think about like there's no reason you couldn't have like a magic weapon, because I feel like that was like something that I might be worried about, like if I was DMing for someone who's playing this class, like do I want to be giving them like a cool magic weapon, because they already have like their whole class is like around it. But I don't think there's a reason why you couldn't have a psychic blade and also a cool dagger or a cool short sword or whatever.
Yeah, totally.
Or find some Githyanki psionic resonator or something that kind of like enables you to give benefits to these things. Like any DM and anyone out there, if you're struggling like to give loot to a player, just think of what the cool thing would happen in a show you like.
Yeah,
and then do that.
Don't be afraid to like buff their stuff. I guess if you don't want to give them items, give them something that increases their actual class.
Have them train or discover something. Have them touch the sacred crystal that then imparts some ancient knowledge on them.
I guess quite a simple one. I think I like the fighter. I really enjoyed. It was perhaps a little complicated, but I think because fighter is quite simple in general, didn't matter too much. I like a nice simple class that is cool. I don't think it's quite as good. It's not as interesting, but it's still cool.
I'm really looking forward to Sorcerer.
Yeah, Sorcerer's cool. I've already given it a read, and I do quite like it. Spoils.
Is it going to be the triple thumbs up?
Oh, for all three? I think so.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
I think so.
There's usually a dog among the wolves with some of these.
I mean, if any of these three is weaker, it's this one. If only because one of them had to be.
Yeah.
Like, not the best.
Yeah, this one. Like, I really like this one. I actually think I may prefer this to the Soulknife.
Really? That's fair.
Well, it's purely from the fact that I've never played a rogue and I want to play this one.
That's fair. I think this is more useful to DMs than the Cyanite would be, for example. Like, again, I think an NPC of this class would be real cool. Real really annoying to a party because they will not be able to stop him from getting away.
Oh god. Okay. Now you said that this class gets negative 10 out of 10.
No, but
such a Kai Lang.
Very
Stop it.
Again, very Dishonored. An unstoppable assassin with eldritch powers. If you're going for an Eldritch Horror Cthulhu campaign kind of thing, this would make a great agent of the villains, or maybe an escaped agent. Obviously, this guy in my canon for whatever this is, he's using the powers that he has got from his cultish upbringing, but he is escaping it at the same time. He's running away from his past. Very standard stuff.
And I think that if you do start at level 1, think about why or how your powers manifest. Definitely.
For sure. Yeah.
I like, and definitely talk with your DM if you don't have any ideas about that, because it will just make it better. Be it maybe something in the campaign could cause it, and then the DM, you've written an adventure for the DM already, because it could be including this element in it.
For sure. I guess that's the end. Thanks for watching this video. The Sorcerer, that'll be out soonish. Psionic Soul, probably within a week, I assume. I should hope so. Probably Thursday. Maybe on Thursday.
Maybe we'll...
I know. That's what a breakneck upload schedule.
And if you made it this far, a personal thanks for 200 subscribers.
That is true. Yes,
We're good steaming ahead. World domination is assured at this point.
Don't thank the peasants, Sam.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not like I care that you subscribed or anything. God,
Baka.
I guess this is the end. I'm just gonna say thank you very much and goodbye. Good night. Sleep well.
Bye.